We are having a special edition of the War Room, and certainly this is a somber day in America because we had a gentleman that some people love and some people hate, went out to a college campus and did what he usually did, which was, let's have a discussion.
A debate.
And he was gunned down. He was assassinated. So the news of the day, I'm sure that you've heard it if you've listened to KTAR throughout the day. Charlie Kirk, a rising star, a MAGA conservative influencer, I think that's kind of a fair way to say it, was assassinated at one of his town halls at the Utah Valley University today. It's disgusting. It's despicable. And we're going to talk about it in the War Room. And we have another War Room at 5 with a whole different panel. So this is something we're going to really talk about today. Let's get to our panel. We've got Stacy Pearson, co-founder of Lumen Strategies and Democratic Strategist. We've got Chuck Coughlin, president and CEO of High Ground, and Sal DiCiccio, the former Phoenix City Council member. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Appreciate it.
You know, it was very, obviously, just a couple of hours ago, we contacted you all, and we're glad that you came in. I think we have to discuss a little bit about who was Charlie Kirk. We know what happened here today. I mean, this is hours past what has taken place. So who was he, and what is the significance of what happened today? Let's start with you, Chuck.
So Charlie Kirk was an extraordinarily talented man who saw a giant political opening in our culture in the past decade as we saw college campuses become more and more woke and DEI liberal, and Republicans were not extinct. They were extinct. And they were like, you were shamed. You were canceled in that culture. And so he saw that. And so what he did was he raised money effectively from some very wealthy people. They were attracted to his charisma and his passion about talking to younger people.
I was going to say
about being involved.
Youth is kind of at the root of this, isn't it?
It's the total root of it.
Yeah.
It's what he did. And he recruited a vast following, and he was welcome in that culture. When he got onto college campuses, kids who had experienced exactly what he's talking about flocked to him.
This was like the young Republicans on steroids.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was.
I'm not trying to be silly
I used to be a
about
young Republican.
Right?
It didn't exist anymore. By the time Charlie hit the deck, the Republican Party was devoid of a youth movement.
Young Republicans felt like he had their back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was their guy.
Yeah.
And so he gave them voice. And just as you were saying, he went out and he would debate anybody. Comes talk to me.
He called it "Prove Me Wrong."
Yeah,
he would go back and forth with anyone.
Yeah, and he was very engaging, and people flocked to that. And it was a massive movement that he created. It's not anybody else other than him, and he contributed. That was his political contribution, was fueling and creating this reaction based upon what the Democratic Party, the vacuum that they'd created, and the vacuum that Republicans had created, because nobody was talking to youth voters.
Right.
And he goes, I'll do that.
Yep.
And he stepped into the void and was hugely successful.
18 years old kind of when he started. I mean, when he originally started, he was literally like this teenager running this organization.
Freeze,
he dropped out of college.
Who was a big NRA supporter and a big Republican donor back in the day. I know Foster was one of his original donors. Mike Ingram here in town was a very passionate supporter of his. There were a lot of people that were very taken with Charlie and his passion and his youth movement.
Let's go to Stacy Pearson. We're inside a special edition of the War Room today. Charlie Kirk assassinated in front of hundreds of people at a college campus. So, Stacy, when you heard the news, what are you thinking? What was your first reaction?
I mean, the level of political violence or the frequency in which we're seeing this.
It's incredible.
It's incredible. It's unacceptable. It, draws parallel to the 1960s. I mean, we're really looking at a scenario that I don't understand why a man is on a roof 200 yards away and in a single shot can take anybody out.
Right.
I don't understand any of this.
Yeah.
And certainly I I can't imagine, if the current reporting is true, his family was there.
Yeah. He's got 2 little girls.
Come on.
You mentioned political violence. Sal, I want to go to you on this.
Yeah.
Political violence, it's ticking up. Let's go through it. 2 attempted assassinations on President Trump. We had a shooting at the CDC just a month ago over vaccine policies.
Yeah.
The assassination attempt of lawmakers in Minnesota. That wasn't very long ago. That was this year.
And their families.
Supreme Court Justice Roberts was threatened outside of his home. Governor Joshua Shapiro of Pennsylvania's home burned to the ground. We are back in the 1960s, are we not?
Yeah, Steve Scalise several years back.
Right.
He was shot.
But that was 25 years ago.
Governor Whitmer, right?
Yep.
There was the kidnapping plot.
If
That
we're
was a
just
few years
talking
ago,
about this
right?
decade.
It started earlier this year when the assassination of the United Healthcare executive.
And people
Yeah.
cheered.
Okay.
I mean,
And people cheered
Some people cheered that.
the assassin. And I'm telling you right now, some people, not everybody, but there are people that are cheering the
TikTok's
assassination
an ugly place right now.
of Kirk, and it's disgusting.
And people are cheering that.
They
believe
are.
it or not. I saw it. I went on just to take a look.
It's ghoulish.
It's horrible. I mean, what they're doing is they're saying the life of an individual is worth less than your political view on something. But if you look at it, this political view has really divided. The country's a 50-50 country. It is what it is, but it's getting even more that way. So Chuck and I were talking earlier. I said you got 20% on one side, 20% on the other side, and it is on both sides, that are so firm in their beliefs that it's impossible to have a discussion. For instance, Alfredo Gutierrez. I considered him a very close friend. I loved him. I thought he was an amazing man, Democrat, and far left Democrat, and became more so. But he was just a good guy. I mean, you could have a conversation with him. You don't have to agree.
And he could have a conversation with you.
Right.
But-
he could pick up the phone like he did with me several times and say, hey, Sal, why are you doing this?
There are, to be able to do that, there have to be an agreed upon set of facts. Like Parkland was real. Children were murdered. And we've got the folks that are cheering from the left, as inappropriate as it is, are so sick of explaining that these problems are real, that Parkland was real, that school shootings are real, that guns are a real problem, and they're a real killer of real people, that you see the schadenfreude when headlines of Charlie Kirk talking about this is just the natural, unfortunate reaction to having gun laws the way we do, having a Second Amendment unregulated in the environment we're in. I mean, we're seeing we don't have an agreed upon set of facts.
Well,
that
we don't
guns
have
kill.
a set of facts on that either. I don't believe that that's the problem. See, there you go, Stacy. The
Yeah.
problem is that you're saying we don't have a set of facts. We don't have a set of facts that you agree with.
But did Parkland happen?
Well,
Was
of course
Parkland
it
real?
happened. Yes. So at the end of the day, I mean, you're still talking to the 5% who may not believe that. But at the end of the day, when you start talking about divisions, right now you've got the left attacking the Supreme Court because they don't agree with them. And
I don't either. I mean, I should have autonomy over my own uterus.
Well, okay, with the Supreme Court, you've got 6 individuals, the majority, that say that this is the way it ought to be, but the individuals in the minority, which they have every right to do, attack them now, are attacking their decision making. The lower federal judges are now saying, well, the Supreme Court has an obligation to protect us, the lower courts, right? No, they have an obligation to protect the Constitution of the United States. And so that is where you start seeing this. When I start hearing people say, well, we don't agree on the facts. Well, we don't agree on philosophical issues. I think there's always a foundation of fact.
That is not the case. I mean, we're
is.
arguing over whether or not gas.
What we're seeing, I mean, here in this debate is there is, and this is a classic example of it, but the notion that where we all lose is there is no truth because we live in this post-truth culture, and that is based upon as a voter, I don't feel welcome in either party because one party is, constitutionalist, Supreme Court. The other party, if I'm a member of a faith, I don't feel welcome in that party. And so we've lost the narrative. The narrative is, as John McCain used to say, you try and find causes greater than your own self-interest. As Jan Brewer used to say, you always do the right thing. I mean, and the right thing is serving the greatest good for the greatest number of people. And neither party does that today.
I agree.
I mean, it's clear that we are devoid of almost any political soul. There's a few that we see every once in a while.
Few and far between.
Who want to do the thing that's not in their own selfish best interests. I mean, Trump today is invading American cities with National Guards, folks. Well, that's a simple explanation, right? Nobody in big cities votes for Trump. So what does he care about him, you know? Yeah. And the left reacts to that, right? That's political theater. And the theater of the left, you know, I was talking to Ruben Gallego, and he's like, I said, hey, you're getting a little attention on the front page of the New York Times. And he goes, yeah. He goes, only in America would my own party disagree with me when I said men should not play in women's sports. Yeah. You know, that's the kind of craziness that the culture that we're in today.
So doesn't it feel like, you know, like America is broken? And are we beyond repair? Because we've got so many issues. Never? I don't know. I feel pretty broken today. I feel like this country's pretty broken today.
I'm an optimist on the United States. Huge optimist.
I am too.
I believe that this kind of discourse is good, and it's going to continue on for several more years until it doesn't.
But when we have people shooting into churches and killing little kids, when we've got Charlie Kirk, you know, just speaking his mind, okay.
At a college campus.
I didn't like a lot of the stuff Charlie Kirk said. Some of it I thought was okay. Some of it he made me crazy. But he's up there and he's welcoming people that come to a podium and speak their mind. And he gets shot in the head.
Two football fields away.
And so
from 2 football fields away.
We're all going to sit here and say America isn't broken.
No, it is.
So along those lines,
it's not irreparable.
It is broken right now.
We're inside the war room right now. Stacy Pearson, Chuck Coughlin, Sal DiCiccio are having that conversation. And maybe the natural progression is we move on like this. And think about this. In just the last couple of hours, Gabby Giffords has come out and condemned this type of violence. Steve Scalise has come out and condemned this type of violence. And yet nobody really thinks it's going to stop.
Exactly.
That's why I keep saying the word broken.
Does today's events make the political divide even greater? We kind of ended on the America is broken, and Sal's like, I want to start in on that. So, Sal, the floor is yours.
I'm not sold that America is broken at all. Matter of fact, I think we're a great country, and we're going to continue to be that way because the majority of the people do not buy into this. Okay, they don't buy into it. I said you've got individuals on both sides that are in the minority, that they're the loudest that you get to hear from. That's it. But the majority of the public is not like this at all. And so I want to.
But don't you think that those extremes?
Yeah.
The people in the middle, and whatever it is, it's 80%, 60%, whatever the number is, right?
Yeah.
The vast majority of people in the middle, their impression of those people is dictated by the extremes, the loud extremes.
Well, that speaks, our political culture is broken. There is absolutely unquestionably broken because 90% of people get reelected in safe congressional districts. It's not a competitive system anymore because nobody wants to challenge the monolithic views of either party. Donald Trump's got a chokehold on the Republican Party. Nobody wants to challenge him. And the extreme political
They don't even want to release the Epstein files.
Right.
How do you not want to release files that are going to point to people who are pedophiles? How?
Well, and the other party is saying, hey, it's fine that men should be able to participate in women's sports.
Ridiculous.
Well, it's totally ridiculous. Both positions are
they're extreme.
So
you're talking my language, Chuck.
Political culture is absolutely broken.
Yeah.
And it is the last place we go now to solve our problems. We perpetuate our problems there. And the only way to solve that, my prayer, would be that a political leader will stand up, begin to say the things that we're talking about here today, and have the courage. We got 2 senators that could easily do this. One of them has challenged the Democratic Party on some of its orthodoxy in Mr. Gallego. We have a Democratic senator who was a discussion for vice president on the last ticket.
Let me
who's,
just jump in
who's
real
a
quick.
victim of gun violence
Didn't we
himself.
have that with Kirsten Sinema? And look where she ended up. Not running in a race because she couldn't
Here's
win.
Kristen's problem. The only constituency Kristen ever cared about was Kirsten. It's the only one she ever cared about was herself.
That is totally
I'm
not
sold
true.
on
Oh, that is absolutely true. I mean,
I think Senator Flake might be a better example of that than Sinema.
She was not John McCain. I mean, she would not go to a Democratic precinct committee meeting and face people down. She's like, I don't care about you. She only cared
about that.
She wanted to perform. She wanted to be a performative broker in Congress so she could raise money and be that. And now she's got an organization where you give her $250,000, you can be in her club. I mean, that's ridiculous. She is a terrible human being.
Whoa!
I have a different viewpoint on some things.
Sal?
I don't want to get into the personality of any individual because I do believe, like Chuck, that we do have a broken system. But at the end of the day, here is what I believe, that the American public, the people of this country, know what's right and they know what's wrong. That's why when we talk about 80-20 things, men being in girls' bathrooms, things like that, the majority of people think, hey, that's just ridiculous. Yep. So at the end of the day, those are the individuals that are in charge. Those are the ones that are going to end up making the decision at the voter box. Now, I've got a different viewpoint as well when it comes to the politics of it. I think sometimes, like Mandami, I want him to win. Believe it or not, I want him to win because I want the public to be able to see, is he going to be effective or not? Is his socialist views going to make it or not? I'm agreeing. I think it's not.
I think the people of New York have a right to be represented by whoever they'd like.
You let them do what they want.
They will be.
You let them. This whole viewpoint of let them. And sometimes
But
you should
you
not
want to let them so he falls on his face.
Well, I believe he's going to.
I think he is too.
So in college, I identified as a socialist. Believe it or not,
Really?
I did.
Okay.
I did, and I went to one of the first Bernie Sanders' political
for God's
events
sakes.
here.
This is,
when I was
we're in a
hardcore
confessional in
Republican.
I was going to say, this is
because I
happening.
wanted to hear. But
Yeah.
everything that Bernie Sanders was saying is everything that I was taught in college. And now I'm obviously a very conservative individual, more libertarian leaning for sure. But so at the end of the day, you've got to let people do what they're going to do.
Sure.
And then the public will make that decision. So sometimes this separation that we see in politics, I believe, is a good thing because you allow the individual to go, and they go, and sooner or later they stumble, and then you start to say, that's not good for me. And that's how the pendulum swings. So the minute you keep stopping that, the minute you keep creating friction into that system, the more likelihood you're going to have is this political upheaval.
It just
so you
seems
just let people do what they're going to do.
But you wouldn't deny that it seems more extreme than it has been.
It's been extreme on both sides, yes.
Yeah, it's been ratcheted up.
It has definitely been ratcheted up.
Stacey, last word.
Even to go back to the question you asked me in the last segment is, what was my immediate reaction?
Right, to Charlie Kirk getting murdered.
One of my immediate reactions was relief that this happened in a red state, and this wasn't in Portland, or wasn't in Chicago, or wasn't in L.A.
Interesting.
Because I can't even imagine what the President of the United States would do with the National Guard at his whim if this was happening somewhere where he lost.
I don't believe that either.
I hadn't thought of that. We're
totally
inside the war room.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Hold on. Stacy Pearson, co-founder of Lumen Strategies, Democratic strategist Chuck Coughlin, the president and CEO of High Ground, and Sal DiCiccio, former Phoenix City Council member. It's a special edition of the War Room as we react to the breaking news of the day, the murder of Charlie Kirk, just hours ago as we were here. A lot of people referring to it, obviously, as a political violence that is perpetrated towards those in politics or those that speak in politics. And somebody who knows a little something about that, joining us right now is former Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Risher. Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. Apologize it's on such a difficult occasion.
Yeah, no good, terrible, awful day. But if I may start on a lighter note, I was today years old when I learned that Sal DiCiccio was once a socialist.
Yes,
I did hear that.
We did learn that.
That
We
was
all
news
learned
to
that.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The head of the
People can
Socialist
change.
Party worked with me
Oh,
washing
my
windows
goodness.
at ASU.
Oh, gosh.
Unbelievable.
Taught me.
And then you smartened up.
Yeah.
I did.
Came around.
Hey, Stephen, you know all about political violence. you had to go through it with the election. It was rigged and all this kind of stuff. Kerry Lake, all the. What is it like to live with political violence and and threats on your life? Because you had to do that, and I'm sure Charlie Kirk had to do that too. He went out there, spoke his mind, and his life ended today. You did what you thought was right when you were the Maricopa County Recorder, and you were under pressure and you were under threats. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, I honestly never believed it would elevate to this level. And I think that this will have people thinking twice. And, you always knew that was something that could happen, and you read about it, you saw it on TV, but it was never somebody that I've interacted with for 13 years as I have with Charlie Kirk. It was never somebody who has a home in Scottsdale, who has been omnipresent in Arizona politics for the last few years. And so if this doesn't send a clarion call to Arizona politicians in particular that the temperature needs to be taken down, I don't know what will. And I hope that if anything positive can come from this awful moment, it will potentially be that.
And you knew Charlie Kirk?
I knew Charlie for 13 years. I knew him when he was a very young man trying to make capitalism a little cooler on college campuses.
Right. Teenager,
he
literally.
And I were, really, really unbelievable how early he got started. He and I were allies for a while, and then in the last 5 years, we were not allies. He's not somebody who was a big fan of mine, and I think I felt pretty similarly. And so it's just, he was somebody who was always out there, and he was doing exactly what I think our political founders anticipated, which was he vigorously engaged in debate, and we are supposed to have a sort of ordered liberty, and today we lost that order.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Stephen. You're a hero of mine, you know that. This is a guy that is the example of somebody who would have fought for causes greater than his own self-interest.
That's a great point.
He defended Arizonans' vote and right to vote and the security of our vote.
And some people
and
punished him for that.
the integrity of our vote. And Charlie, quite frankly, was one of the people that criticized him for that. I give him, of all people, and he lost.
Right.
He lost a Republican primary because he stood up for the right thing. And he was that guy. So we were in a conversation here a few minutes ago, Mr. Richer, where we were speaking. We had
You're
some
darn
words,
right, Chuck.
We had some words about Miss Sinema, our former state U.S. senator. I want to know, hero or not so much a hero? What do you think? You are a hero.
Oh, why are you putting me out on this? All I know is that I need
Because you're the
Gaydos
guy. You're the guy. You're the epitome of that guy.
Because what we were talking about is there's someone out there that can bring everybody
Bring people
together. And it seemed at one point like Sinema was liked on the left and the right, and like for people like me,
the Maverick brand.
Independent.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Go ahead,
I would point to somebody you had on earlier, which was Jeff Flake. I really think that he was an embodiment of that. I think Sinema exhibited significant courage to her detriment when she saved the filibuster. I agree with Chuck's analysis of her motives. It always struck me as a little peculiar and even uncouth with some of the spending habits and, the $250,000 for a seat. I hope Gaydos has a discount code for that one because that's a little rich for my blood. But certainly she exhibited courage with respect to the filibuster, and I do think that she pushed back. But I think Jeff Flake is somebody that I would say was a model of that, and for the right reasons.
And also got vilified.
Got others in there? Who else would you throw into the hero camp of people in our elected lives and our political lives?
Bring the temperature down.
I would say Rusty Bowers.
Well, I mean, Rusty Bowers is like the ultimate sort of silent man of courage, quiet man of courage, not silent certainly, who, he put everything on the line, and he had, quite frankly, some Turning Point USA people and others outside of his home calling him a pedophile while his daughter was dying. Look, today is about the horrible things that happened to Charlie Kirk, and it has no excuse, and that's all that should be said about that. But this has happened to other people.
Yeah, our political culture is broken. That was the point that we were discussing earlier.
It's awful, and all the things you said were about the incentives and everything are absolutely true and absolutely awful. What I will say about today is the most disheartening thing when somebody would say, she's going to lynch me, or that traitor should be hung. The most disheartening thing would be to get online and see nobody from my political opposition, which was within the Republican Party, see nobody condemn it. And I am very happy that today everyone from Katie Hobbs, who put out a nice statement, to both of our senators. Now, does that make the situation for the Kirk family any better? No, but at least it's trying to demonstrate the behavior that we need to now solidify going forward. And I hope that we're not just back to business as usual in a week.
Mr. Risher, appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks for cutting
Always
the jog.
enjoy listening.
Thanks for
guys.
cutting the jog short there, brother.
Yeah, that is former Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Risher joining us inside the War Room. We have our panel with us right here.
Charlie Kirk, a beloved figure in MAGA. Young Republicans felt, this is a guy that has my back. Listen, I watched him do his thing in college campuses, and some of it drove me nuts. And other times I'm like, I'm glad we're having that conversation. And some guy decided to gun him down from 200 yards away. It is a disgusting day, a disgusting and despicable day.
No place for it. Or is there, unfortunately? We're finding out. By the way, we are on YouTube as well, the KTAR YouTube channel. You can watch today's show as well, or go back and listen anytime you want. The Outspoken with Bruce Gaydos podcast brought to you by Revival Psychiatry. In studio with us right now, we have the former Phoenix City Council member, Sal DiCiccio. We have the co-founder of Lumen Strategies, Democratic strategist Stacy Pearson, and the president and CEO of High Ground Consulting, Chuck Coughlin. So during a commercial break, Gaydos,
yes.
We got into a lively discussion over the mental health aspect of shooters, of these, what do you call them, lone wolves, assassins, going back and taking a look at some of the high-profile murders or attempted murders that have been happening.
Right.
Let's just go with this year, just 2025.
Okay.
And the impact that mental health has on that, and whether or not Donald Trump will even mention mental health. Chuck, I'll let you start with, do you think Trump will talk about mental health with
100% no way.
Okay.
Because it is a manifestation of our political culture today. It's a manifestation of our culture at large. And it's at the root of it. And our discussion was you can't do anything about it, or, it's just a problem. There are things you can do about it. And you can treat people. You can find people. You can find treatments for people. It's up to them. Right? But you have to be able to build a system, a public health care system that's there for them. In fact, I'm working on one of those ideas right now.
Is mental health at the root of all of this? I mean, it's like saying, is mental health the cause of crime?
You're murdering somebody.
Yeah.
But
is every murderer a mental?
Sin.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a sin. And sin is a breaking of your relationship with God. And an acknowledgement of your relationship with God is the most important thing that we do every day. We got to get up and say, hey, thanks. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Thanks for giving me this great world to live in. Let me be a blessing to other people today. Let me be a blessing. I do that every morning. I do that every morning.
I'd like to see a lot more people do it.
Right, but it has to start with a right footing, not a political philosophy or libertarianism. Screw you, not celebration of DEI.
Let me get Sal in here because he looks like he's steaming.
Here's where we were. No, I'm not steaming.
Okay.
We had this conversation. You just have to keep some people away from the rest of us. You just have to do that.
Meaning, put him in jail.
You have to incarcerate him. You have to keep him in prison.
But what would you have done with today? The guy was
well.
there.
That one there, that was a planned assassination. You can't.
How do you
sit in a
find
building
these
200 yards.
people?
Yeah, I think that's the question I have, Sal.
The cashless bail that you're seeing across the country.
Come on.
You've got people being murdered every single day in this country right now. Those individuals need to be in prison
crime rate
forever.
is as low as it's been
And it needs to go lower.
Century.
It needs to go
I agree
lower.
with you.
It needs to get to zero. I mean, anything short of zero.
That is just not how
So
humans
it's never
operate.
going to
That's how it
happen
should be.
because sin
So
exists
the
in
bottom
the world.
line, the
Yeah.
bottom
So
line is
you should
have to
reset
learn
your
to
reality
keep people away
to getting something
from the others.
positive done.
That's what you
not
do.
perfect.
That's what you do.
I think
you
one of the
have to keep
problems
them
I
away,
have,
keep them out of society.
I don't
Keep
disagree with that a
them.
big
You
thing.
can no longer
them.
have these victims.
But the problem is we don't find out these people are mentally ill until they commit the crime.
It's not necessarily the mentally ill. It could be individuals who are just constantly
Are
involved in the criminal
repeat
justice
criminals.
Repeat criminals.
We have no
You keep them
idea who
away.
did this, and the latest
I'm not saying this person
rampages
was.
were all folks who had no criminal histories. So it's impossible for
or
us
mental health history,
Or
so,
men-
allegedly.
So let's-
Well, you know what
let's
they all
go
had in
in-
common? You know what they all had in
Here's-
common? They all had
political extremism.
No, they had in common hate.
Hate.
And we hate too much in this country.
Yeah.
I hate that
what our
person. I
political
hate that.
culture
That's where it is,
believes
Chuck.
today.
Right.
You're exactly
gonna
what
hear
But when it
this.
comes to mental health,
We need more mental health.
but
the
when
fact
it-
of the matter is
hang on,
there's
Sal.
not enough out there.
Well, yeah, like Stacy, last
it's
word.
never going to be
the
enough.
things that we have defunded in elementary schools are the very things your therapist tells you to do if you're not feeling well upstairs. Go for a run. Go find a hobby. Go play music. Go find things that are positive and release stress
play
before
outside.
you snap. Go play outside.
All right. We're going to leave it at that.
Thank you, all three, for being in here and coming in on such short notice. We do appreciate on such a important breaking news day again.
All right. We had a 4 o'clock war room. We have a 5 o'clock war room. And what we're discussing is the sickening assassination of Charlie Kirk, a young MAGA star, Turning Point USA, a conservative activist, if you will, someone who went on college campuses and had a conversation, and some very tough conversations.
Debated people with different views.
Right. Young Republicans felt that he had their backs. He was a conservative star, and he was murdered. He was assassinated. And we're following who did this, trying to find out exactly. What was it? It was on a. The gunman was on top of a roof.
It appeared, again, unconfirmed.
200 yards away.
But there is video of somebody on a rooftop, I'm going to say about a 4 or 5 story building,
Right.
roughly 200 yards away, that people thought the shot came from. And then you see, after the gunshot, you see somebody running on the rooftop. Unconfirmed at this point, but if true, we also put this out there. A 200-yard shot? Like,
Wow.
that's a Navy SEAL sniper
So
type
inside
level.
the war room, we've got Matt Salmon, former Arizona congressman. We've got Barry Markson, KTAR legal analyst.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining
Appreciate
us, guys.
it, guys.
We're gonna play. We're gonna play what happened. We're gonna play the moment that he was shot. So if this is something that you don't want to hear, if you got kids in the car, 1 minute he's speaking about issues, and the next you hear what happened. So we'll play it. And if you don't want to hear it, I totally understand. Just turn the radio back up in about 30 seconds.
So, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years?
Too many.
It's 5. Okay, now 5 is a lot, right? I'm gonna give you some credit. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
A single shot from quite a ways away.
To
it
the neck.
appears.
To the neck.
Yeah, hit him in the neck.
person knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Can I give you guys a quick update, by the way? This is from FBI Director Patel. The subject in custody has been released after interrogation by law enforcement. Investigation continues.
They don't have the shooter.
No. That's what they were kind of indicating before. I think the governor came out, the governor of Utah came out.
Well, the
with a
governor
little-
said person of interest.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, well, are they just using different terminology?
Yeah, it's
Okay. Why don't we start the conversation
Sorry.
with
Yeah.
No. You just I think when I heard, well, Barry texted it to me. Barry said somebody just shot Charlie Kirk, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then when I got home, I put on one of these channels.
Sure.
And then they said that President Trump had announced he had died. And I'm not a fan of Kirk. It's not somebody that I followed. I knew that he was an important voice in the MAGA party. I give him a lot of credit, and I thought he was a very brave person going and doing what he did in front of all these people. And when I found out that he was killed, my heart sank because he's got
a horrible day for the country.
It is a horrible day for the country. You don't have to like everything that he said, but he's got 2 little kids. Yep. And they're 2 little beautiful girls. So I want to start with Matt Salmon. When you heard that he had been shot and then later killed, what goes through your mind?
I mean, it was a numbness, to be honest. I think when we look back on this assassination, you know, one of the first thoughts that I had was, you know, when I was a little boy, another political activist on the different side was Martin Luther King, who was assassinated. And all of the feelings came flooding back and everything. And I just, it breaks my heart that we're at this place in our American political system right now, because it is badly broken.
Yeah.
You know, I was sharing with Barry, before I came into the meeting, that I had the opportunity to serve in Congress 2 different times.
Mm-hmm.
I was there in 1994 during the contract with America, and I was there for 6 years. I left, and I came back 12 years later in 2012, and I served another 4 years. It was like I was dropped off a spaceship into a different planet.
Really?
It was so different. I mean, when I went
like
to
the collegiality of it?
Yes, the collegiality. There were blue dog Democrats. There was none when I came back.
Yeah.
We would argue like cats and dogs on the floor or in committee, but then afterwards, you know, we'd throw arm around each other's shoulder.
Go down to Le Diplomat and have a drink.
You know, or go play racquetball, or you know, and many of the people that actually lived there, I went back and forth every week, but many of the people actually lived there had kids that were on the same little league teams,
Well, it
and
changed.
it was like night and day. And we have, when Benjamin Franklin came out and said, "It's a republic if you can keep it," the first thought that came to my mind is, we are on such thin ice right now.
Really?
And the hatred that's going on is going to be our undoing on both sides, a pox on both houses. We have got to stand up and turn this around. And for all the Christians out there that are in the political space, let's get back to what Christ said on the Sermon on the Mount. You know, turn the other cheek, love those that despitefully use you, work together. It's our only chance as a future for this country, I believe.
Listen, some people have forgotten, love your neighbor, love God. That's what he asks us to do. Love God, love your neighbor. Are we really loving our neighbor when, you know, you walk around in a T-shirt, and I saw this the other day that said something awful about liberals, and I saw something that was awful about Republicans, and I agree with you. I think the hatred out there, this is what led to Charlie Kirk getting killed.
That's exactly it. And it's not coming just from one side.
Right.
It's coming from both sides.
Yeah.
And if we do anything in this country, let's start standing up and saying, knock the hatred off.
Barry.
Yeah, it's when I saw the congressman outside today before we came in, I asked him that question, and because I knew the answer already, that in 1994, and Matt, at that time, you were one of the most conservative congressmen.
Very much so.
Yeah, you were doing things that were kind of on the edge at that time.
Very much so.
But I knew
Me and Joe Scarborough.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Love to remind him of that all the time.
Oh yeah, drag him into this.
But I knew you had friends who were Democrats. I knew you had. I knew that was happening, and you told me about that and how it changed when you went back in 2012. And that's what's missing now. It used to be, and I'll tell you, I mean, I'm an attorney, I'm a litigator. I did that for most of my career, and we would argue, we would get heated with lawyers, defending your client, advocating for your position, and then the same thing after it was done. How you doing? What are you doing this weekend? You know, because we're doing our job. We're going to do it well. We understand. We're going to respect each other.
We're going to argue our side.
Yes, and at the end, we're just 2 guys who have families and are lawyers and are going to go back and do what we do, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's become enemies. We were discussing that you hear rhetoric, and it is on both sides, but you hear the president of the United States saying that Democrats, you know, the enemy from within, and
they hate America.
That they're worse than our worst enemy on the outside. I mean, how is that possible? That our Americans are worse than the Iranians or worse than North Koreans? And unfortunately, it's that rhetoric, I think, that got us here.
But the rhetoric was also there before Trump. It may have gotten worse.
I'm not blaming it on Trump.
I know.
No, the rhetoric's been around for a long, long time. But what I saw change, there's a couple of things.
Please.
I think some of the personalities involved have changed things. I think social media has really screwed things up.
Yeah.
Because people will say things on social media.
We didn't used to see it because it wasn't around.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And the base, you know, when like I was pointing out to Barry, when my my good friend Lindsey Graham was pictured on the floor hugging Dianne Feinstein at one point. It went wild on social media, and they both caught literal hell from their respective parties. And
for being decent to one another.
Yeah, for being decent to one another. And after all is said and done, you know what? We are all Americans. Yeah. We need to knuckle down and work together and hate ideas. Fine, hate ideas, but don't hate people.
Matt Salmon, former Arizona congressman in here, Barry Markson, KTAR legal analyst in here as we react to and discuss the murder today that happened in front of all of our eyes. Now, a horrible video, and you played some of that audio. And I wanted to say, follow up on something you guys both just said, that if you follow any of this, Gabby Giffords came out and strongly condemned political violence. A person who... life was shattered because of political violence. Steve Scalise, shot playing baseball, right, at the congressional...
And
almost died at a congressional baseball game by a madman who showed up at the R's versus D game, right? Came out, strongly condemned it. Do you think anything changes tomorrow?
Unfortunately, no. Because I hearken back, I'm going to be speaking on Saturday about 9/11. It's a day of service, and it's at my grandkids' high school. And I remember on 9/11 when I watched my former colleagues, because I was not in Congress at the time, but they stood on the Capitol steps and arm in arm, they all sang "God Bless America."
I remember that.
And for about 5 or 6 months, you saw this incredible camaraderie and people working together, working across the aisles, people of different religions, throwing aside their bad feelings and everything. And it lasted 4 or 5 months, and then we went back to, hating
name calling and
But I remember that being like the best time. Like as an American, you feel like we were all really here as Americans. And
everybody gathered. Everybody was for Bush. Everybody wanted to see him do something that was going to...
but I'll tell you, I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say this. Charlie Kirk is an Arizona guy. He lives.
He's our neighbor.
They live in Scottsdale.
Lives in Scottsdale.
I literally was at a meeting with somebody today at 3:00 this afternoon, and it's right near where where he lives. And the guy was saying, he's been in here several times. We knew. I mean, he's one of us. He's here with us. And whether you disagree with him politically or not, this is where he lived with his family and his children and this whole thing. This hits us harder than I think most others.
Very much so.
Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. He is a MAGA star behind Turning Point USA, 31 years old, leaves behind a wife, a little boy, and a little girl. A very controversial figure. There's no question about it. We just talked to Meghan McCain, who really, really had a good relationship with Charlie Kirk. They were friends. Inside the war room, Matt Salmon, former Arizona congressman. We got Barry Markson, KTAR legal analyst. Why don't we bring this up? Because, I do think it's an interesting question. What if this didn't happen in Utah? What if this happened in a blue state?
Chicago.
A state that didn't vote for Trump.
I'm just wondering,
unlike Utah,
what would the president be saying right now?
He'd have the National Guard rolling in.
But is that an exaggeration from you, Barry?
No,
you really think that would happen?
I absolutely do. I think he would be blaming the city and blaming the state. And he would come in and say, we have to take control because they don't have control.
Do you think that would have happened, Matt? Really?
You know what?
I'm trying to...
Larry, I don't know. I hope and pray not.
Me too.
But
Barry might not be far off. I mean, this is something that we've seen from him.
One of the things that we talked about in the last hour was, if the president of the United States, really set the tone to try to dial back the anger and everything, would it make a difference? I think it would.
I think so too.
But I don't know if he's capable of doing it. And to be honest, in his second term, I don't think he really wants to do it.
But he could. And that's the point. If Trump stood on the steps of the Capitol with all these congressmen and senators behind him and said, we are all committing that we're going to disagree, but we're not going to be disagreeable. We're going to disagree, but we're not going to be personal. We're not going to be violent. We're not going to use rhetoric like that.
No one will buy it.
And then he did it. Well, he'd have to do it.
Well, that means
what's in it for him?
Being a leader.
What's in it for him is a great legacy of a great leader. Because honestly, right now in America, in this United States, we're at a bad place.
Yeah.
We are at a bad place when it comes to, politically working together with one another. And I got a news flash for you. The fact is, the Democrats are not the enemy. They are Americans just like we are. We need to figure out a way to cross that divide.
Tell the Democrats that Trump isn't Hitler. I mean, this is the stuff
That's
that
exactly
we talk about.
No, you're right.
Don't call him Hitler. Hitler
a
is
pox on both houses, but somebody has got to dial down the rhetoric and lead by example. And I think that he is the best person to do that as the commander-in-chief,
the president,
and the most powerful guy in the world.
So I'm going to play you guys.
Pulpit.
I'm going to play you guys some audio. We're inside the war room, and this is what Representative Nancy Mace said. She is a Republican. This is. It was minutes after it was announced that Charlie Kirk had been assassinated, and here's this lady running her mouth.
Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. Probably all the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot and killed. And he was talking about mass tranny violence when this happened.
So her rhetoric is also disgusting.
Well, we don't even have a suspect at this point.
It could. We don't.
But to be clear, and I'm saying that's kind of the breaking news.
Speculation out there.
But the breaking news is that they said they had somebody. That person's been released. They are looking for the gunman.
But how is this the Democrats' fault?
It's not.
It's not.
But she believes it. So tell me why she believes that. What is in her mind that has turned this into, this is. Because
anybody who's not on her side is a Democrat.
They're they're the enemy, and they're bringing all this on. That was all over social media, not Nancy Mace. All of these people, the MAGA folks and people who do this, this is how they make their living, guys. I don't know how to do it. They get everybody riled up. It's getting hate and divisiveness, and that's what they do.
The grifters.
But it's also like mob mentality.
It is.
When people lose their complete perspective, they do things that they would never do on their own. And I've been there. I served there for 5 terms, and I can just tell you that it's kind of like when U of A and ASU play a game, it's like us versus them.
Yeah.
They're so horrible. And sometimes things are done on the football field that we all regret, and it goes way past, a regular rivalry type thing.
Except U of A is really bad.
Here we go.
But can I say this? And I'm not. Look, I want to start by saying there's nothing that anybody said that would ever deserve what happened to Charlie Kirk today, and he didn't say something that brought this on. It's not what this is. But this is the rhetoric that needs to happen. When Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, was assaulted a few years ago, Charlie Kirk went on his show and publicly said, like joking around, that somebody needs to go bail the guy out who assaulted him. And I mean, he didn't take that seriously, and he kind of piled on. It wasn't that bad, but that's my point. This is on both sides, but this is okay to be. And this was a real violent attack on an old man. The guy went in there and hit him in the head with a hammer,
right? Yeah.
But then, then you have the people that go out there on social media, and if you watch it today, you see the hatred online about Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are people.
He said some really vile things,
but there are people that are celebrating the death.
That's awful.
Of him
there's no
because they don't share the same beliefs, and that's despicable, and that's disgusting, and that makes you a disgrace.
Well, let me say this: I think Charlie Kirk's a racist. I don't think he deserved to be shot and killed. There's 2 separate things.
You can think whatever you want about Charlie Kirk, but no one should think it's okay for him to get shot in the neck and killed in front of his kids.
I will tell you, and this is a personal thing. When I heard this today for the first time, and I was thought back of it later today, I was happy that my first reaction, because I don't like Charlie Kirk, I don't like what he stands for, I don't like a lot of those things. My first reaction was I was sad that was awful, and that was my first reaction. Not that I'm happy that this happened, and that's how we should all be, and we're not. There's obviously millions and millions of Americans
who hate Trump with all your heart.
Yeah.
And you are looking, and I'm not talking about everybody, but you're looking at the fact that Charlie Kirk had his life ended today, and you're going on social media, and you are loving it, and this has made your day. You're disgusting, and you're anti-American, and I don't want to know you. I think that's some of the most awful things
you had President Biden, you had President Bush, you had President Obama, all coming out today denouncing violence, saying this is absolutely wrong.
And this is one thing, and again, it's on both sides, but this is one thing where there is a difference. This happens today, and every Democrat everywhere has come out and denounced this, and this is awful, and they're giving their condolences. When Melissa Hortman, who was the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, was killed in her home with her husband a couple of months ago, Turning Point and Charlie Kirk didn't say a word. There was no condolences. There was nothing there. Trump barely said anything.
Trump said he didn't call the governor of Minnesota.
Yeah, there was none of what you're seeing now from Democrats saying this is wrong, this is political violence, we shouldn't do this. There was none of that really coming from, not every Republican, some did, but from most Republicans, most of the folks on that part of it didn't say a word. And that's wrong. That's
isn't
what
it
we
interesting that Trump didn't call the governor of Minnesota when all that happened?
Yes.
But then just the other day, the governor of Minnesota, after there was all those rumors online that Trump was dead, remember that? And he said something like, well, can't win them all. You're just like, oh my gosh, you're disgusting too.
Yeah. I feel really, really strongly about this, and I really think more than anything, rather than go down this road, I think we should really, really, really try to focus on how do we get rid of the hatred all the way across the board.
Why don't we talk about that next? That's a perfect place to stop.
That's a great point. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we should do that.
By the way, I got my master's degree from BYU, which is just a hop, skip, and a
is it
jump.
really?
It's like a couple of miles away from UVU. UVU, by the way, is the largest by student population, largest university in Utah.
I didn't know that. Okay. Orem, Utah.
And I was just there about 3 weeks ago.
Wow. Okay. The latest, by the way, from law enforcement is the shooter is still on the loose. They are still looking. Yeah. They had a person in custody earlier, but they've been released after being interrogated.
That's unbelievable. It's been hours, and I know that we're really good at finding bad people, and we haven't found who it is yet.
That's amazing.
And
Barry, could they be hedging their bets and maybe have the person but not let on?
Yeah,
that
I don't know.
Could that be happening?
The FBI director is the one who said we have them, and then came back on and said no, we don't.
Yeah, I think it's a little embarrassing for them that it's taken this long. So my guess is they're not doing that. But I don't know. Cash Patel, I don't really trust anything he says. So I don't know.
I think the issue when it comes to these shootings, whether it's a school shooting. This
and there was one of those today too.
There was,
sadly,
of course,
yes.
Nobody's talking about it. I think it happened in Colorado,
Denver. Yeah,
but it's like people are saying, well, how do we, can the president turn the temperature down? And don't wait for a politician to save things. It's us that has to turn the temperature down.
Bingo.
It's not Trump. It's not the Democrats. It's us. We've got to do a better job of loving each other. And I know that sounds strange to some people, but, again, I've said this. I'm a Christian. I want to love God and love people. Did I like some of the stuff Charlie Kirk said? No, I did not. Did I understand some of the stuff Charlie Kirk said? Well, he made some points, made me really think. But we need to do better. And I think that it's, these politicians have ratcheted all of us up. And I'll give you another example, guys. My dad watches Fox News. My dad likes Trump, doesn't like the way he does things. Fox News turns my dad into something that I really don't know.
Yeah.
And I think CNN does that to my brother, who's a total liberal. And he doesn't even want to have...
They're playing the audience.
They're playing them.
Yeah, they are playing them.
We need to do better as people.
And I love what you just said, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately we all have to look ourselves in the mirror and we have to say, look, we are on a really slippery slope right now as a country. Yeah. And we can only control our own little part of the universe. And we have got to, every father and mother needs to sit down with their kids and have this same conversation. I think it's time for, a major change in this country, a major reconciliation.
So let me ask you, Matt, does it get better or worse after this? Tomorrow, for example, we wake up tomorrow.
I think it depends on how exactly what Larry just said. I think how we take it. If like what Laura Loomer just said, and let's close down everything that the liberals do because of the shooting today. If we turn around, and we say, you know what, this senseless hatred and violence has got to stop, and today is the first day of the rest of our lives as a country, and we're changing it today. We can do that.
We can do it, but here's the problem. There are too many people on social media who make their living getting people excited, getting people worked up. That's how they do it.
Riling them up.
That's how Laura Loomer does it. She has millions of people who follow her on social media. She makes money doing that, and she has to play that part. That's her thing. And I don't know how that ends. I agree with you 100%.
But we have to see it for what it is, Barry. We have to understand it for what it is. It's all it is. They're grifting.
Yes, it's all grifting.
And they are playing us as suckers.
Well, it's like, if you want to watch social media, Elon Musk. Here's what he put on
He tweeted
X.
a little bit ago.
The left is a party of murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
We don't even. By the way, we don't. There isn't a shooter in custody.
Yeah. This could be a mentally
and
deranged
the
right-wing
PS
guy.
on that was, now can I get my electric charging stations?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And what
Come
can,
on,
And then on
can
the
I
other,
get? Can I get my billions in
Can I-
government
yeah.
subsidies?
on the other side, you'll have some Democrat, some liberal. Trump is Hitler. No, he isn't.
He's not.
Okay, so we've got both sides that just loathe each other, and it's one of those things where it's like you get, sometimes you get sucked into this. Don't get sucked into it. Just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean that you have to hate them. And of course, it doesn't mean you have to shoot them in the neck.
Violent. Everyone says violence isn't the answer, but it seems like there's more of it. At least recently, it feels like there is. Or is it just my perception?
But it's even beyond that. I know that I'm very, very involved with the high school that my kids are at. My kids graduated from, and my grandkids are at right now. And just since school began, there have been 3 suicides.
Oh God!
Wow.
At a public school in Mesa.
Oh my God!
And it's this culture of, of death.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that I think that we've got to, the name of our city is Phoenix. Let's be like
Rise
the
from
Phoenix
the
bird
ashes.
and rise from the ashes and get through this stuff.
We can all do a little bit. I can do a little bit on social media. Bruce, you can do. We can be a little.
Yeah, we
but,
could.
But the thing with us is we don't get personal. We don't
No.
get violent. We never do that, and there's a difference. But
And don't
you're-
threaten violence.
But we can all do our part.
Appreciate
let's
you
do
guys being with us today. Thank you so very much. Barry Markson, KTAR legal analyst for Arizona Congressman Matt Salmon.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.